Well, just over 4 years ago, Chelsea's new American owners bought the club after Roman Abramovich was forced to sell Chelsea. And while they were doing their due diligence, their lawyers, their accountants noticed some discrepancies in the books. They reported these discrepancies to the FA, the Premier League and UEFA. And what happened regarding the FA is that last September, they charged Chelsea with 74 breaches of the FA's rules regarding transfers and payments to agents and also third-party ownership of players. Then there was a hearing behind closed doors in front of an independent commission, which was totally done in private. We didn't even know that it was happening. And that commission decided to punish Chelsea with a 6-point suspended deduction and a £10 million fine. Again, we didn't know that Chelsea appealed against that decision. A new commission, an appeal board, heard that appeal, and they actually decided that the 6-point suspended deduction should be changed to a 2-window suspended transfer ban, but the £10 million fine stays in place. Meanwhile, what this means is the action against Chelsea is finished. This case has now been dealt with by the FA, the Premier League and also UEFA. But the Football Association have stressed that they're continuing their investigations of potential misconduct by individuals. So, for instance, senior executives who used to work at Chelsea. The FA have also made it clear that the fine, £10 million, will be going into grassroots football.
OK, you mentioned the sort of wider jurisdiction when it comes to how Chelsea have acted and who gets to judge on that. Premier League and UEFA. So how does this punishment compare to the ones that they were handed down by those two bodies?
Well, they have already been punished by the Premier League and by UEFA over this. Back in March this year, they were given a record fine by the Premier League, £10.75 million, after they basically admitted that the previous owners had made secret payments worth a total of £47.5 million between 2011 and 2018. These are believed to be related to the transfers of players such as Eden Hazard, Samuel Eto'o, Willian Ramirez, David Luiz, Andre Schürrle and Nemanja Matic. There is no suggestion at all of any wrongdoing by those players. When it comes to the UEFA case, UEFA fined Chelsea €10 million. That is around £8.5 million in July 2023 for incomplete financial reporting.
Let's just talk a little bit more broadly about this in the context of the success that Chelsea enjoyed over this, 13-year period, 74 offences over a 13-year period, 2009 to 2022. I mean, they did win a lot of trophies over that time under a lot of different managers, admittedly, Carve. So how fair would it be for me to suggest perhaps that there's a sort of potentially an asterisk next to some of those trophies? I'm trying to be quite careful with how I put that.
Yeah, are these sort of trophies tainted? I mean, it's something that I've seen suggested by rival fans on social media, and people make the point, how come the so-called big clubs seem to get fines when so-called smaller clubs, who are not actually small, tend to get points deductions? For instance, Nottingham Forest, Leicester City, or if you go down to EFL clubs, frequently they get points deductions. I have to say, I understand when people say that, but the only thing I would say is that we weren't on the independent commission. We didn't hear the full case. We don't know the full facts. Although we can go to the Football Association's website and read up the written reasons that have been published today and make up our own minds. I don't think it's for me to say whether I think the punishments are too harsh or too lenient, but I'm well aware of the fact that some supporters will be looking at this and saying, over 13 years, Chelsea basically admitted 74 breaches of these rules. Now, that may well have helped them to sign players that they could potentially have missed out on. And those players helped them win these trophies. So should they have received more than just a £10 million fine? Obviously, they have received more than a £10 million
almost
fine.
30 now, yeah.
Because they've been fined by the Premier League and UEFA as well. But I hear what some people are saying.
OK. Kaveh, thank you for the moment. Just stay with us. There's more breaking news. This one also regards Chelsea, and it also regards a story which has been fought in the courts and appealed. Chelsea's Mykhailo Mudryk is clear to return to football. He'd been serving an anti-doping ban. The FA have just announced the news with this statement. It's a lengthy statement, but let's just try and tease out the key details for you. So the FA can confirm that the anti-doping disciplinary proceedings against Mykhailo Mudryk were resolved with the agreement of WADA, that's the World Anti-Doping Agency, yesterday. In the context of that agreement, Mr. Mudryk has accepted his commission of anti-doping rule violations, they're known as ADRVs, and accepted a period of ineligibility. So the history of this, on the 22nd of October 2024, he was subject to an out-of-competition doping protocol which revealed the presence of a low concentration of meldonium. Meldonium is a prohibited substance. Then on the 23rd of May 2025, the FA then charged Mykhailo Mudryk with ADRVs, anti-doping rule violations, in breach of regulations 3 and 4 of its 2024 anti-doping regulations. Then moving forward to 7th to 9th of January 2026, this year, a hearing took place before an independent regulatory commission, and the regulatory commission found that Mykhailo Mudryk had committed the charged ADRVs and imposed a 4-year period of ineligibility. That was from January this year. But the story doesn't end there because it was appealed. So Mykhailo Mudryk filed an appeal with the Court of Arbitration for Sport. It's the highest appeal court in the world. And since then, changes mean that if Mykhailo Mudryk's sample was collected today, the concentration of meldonium in the sample would not have been reported and no ADRVs would have resulted. And further to that and to other circumstances of the case, so the FA and Mykhailo Mudryk have now, with the agreement of WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, resolved the appeal proceedings in accordance with Article 10.8.2 of the World Anti-Doping Code and also Regulation 90 of the 2024 Anti-Doping Regulations. And as a result of this agreement, Mykhailo Mudryk accepted that he had committed the ADRVs charged and he exceeded this period of ineligibility equal to the time served at the date of the agreement. So as a result of that, and this is the key thing really, Mykhailo Mudryk is no longer ineligible and he can return to competition with immediate effect. And just as I've been talking, Chelsea have just released a statement themselves. And this is what they've said. From the outset, this has been an extremely difficult period for Mykhailo Mudryk, both professionally and personally, and we are pleased that the matter has now reached a conclusion which allows him to return to football with immediate effect. We've always supported Misha throughout this process while fully respecting the integrity of the anti-doping system and the legal process. Misha has consistently maintained that he never knowingly or intentionally used a prohibited substance and did not know how traces of the substance entered his system. Throughout his process, he's conducted himself professionally and with resilience during what has undoubtedly been one of the most challenging periods of his career. We know how much this opportunity to return means to him. Our focus now is on supporting Misha's reintegration into the squad and helping him resume his career. Chelsea remains fully committed to the highest standards of sporting integrity and compliance with all anti-doping regulations. Everyone at the club now looks forward to helping Misha return to full fitness, back into the squad and back onto the pitch. So just to confirm once again, the top headline here is that Mykhailo Mudryk is clear to return to football. He had been serving this anti-doping ban. It had been handed down as a result of this hearing that took place before an independent regulatory commission early this year in January. The original decision that was reached, a 4-year period of ineligibility, but then because it went to CAS, the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and then an agreement was reached between the FA, the player, and WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, because effectively the rules around the substance and the amounts that it takes to constitute a breach had changed. They've now agreed that effectively Mykhailo Mudryk has served his punishment. He's now clear to return to football. He's no longer ineligible, and Chelsea have said now their priority is to reintegrate Misha, or as they call him, Mykhailo Mudryk, into the squad, returning to full fitness and ultimately back onto the pitch. Another significant breaking story this afternoon here on Sky Sports News, and of course we'll reflect further on it as the afternoon and evening progresses. OK, let's return to the global stage, shall we? FIFA President Gianni Infantino has come under increasing pressure with